The story begins with Frank and Sarah. They have been together for 3 years and are now trying to live a quiet life away from their past work. That's why they spend all their time together. Frank has come with Sarah to do some shopping, so they are looking at things separately. Just then, Marvin appears before Frank. Seeing Marvin, Frank is startled and understands that Marvin must have brought some troubling news. Marvin says, "Some people are after us, and they want to stop our work, so you should be careful. I want you to come with me so we can find them." But Frank says, "No, you're mistaken. No one is after us. You should also try to live an ordinary life." But Marvin starts explaining to Frank again. Just then, Sarah arrives and sees Marvin. After seeing Marvin, she also understands that they might be needed for a mission. So she tells Frank, "I also want to go with you." Frank is surprised again that Sarah is now very interested in such dangerous activities. But Frank doesn't want to go anywhere, so he sends Marvin away. Marvin meets him outside and tries to explain things to Frank one last time. But Frank doesn't understand. Then Marvin says, "I am going after them alone." After saying this, he gets into his car and drives off. But as soon as he drives away, there's an explosion in his car, and Marvin passes away. Frank is shocked. The next day, he goes with Sarah to Marvin's funeral. But Frank still doesn't believe that Marvin is truly gone. He keeps telling Sarah, "Marvin has done this before. He often pretends to be gone." But Sarah says, "How can you say that? His body is right in front of you." Just then, Frank pulls out a pin and gently probes Marvin's hand. But Marvin doesn't react. That's when Frank starts to believe that Marvin is indeed gone. So, Sarah tells him to go and say a few words for his friend. Frank goes on stage, and here, for the first time, we see him emotional. He talks about how much Marvin endured, how many days he was subjected to experiments. After saying these things, he starts to get emotional again. But when he comes out with Sarah, some agents approach him and say, "You will have to come with us." Frank replies, "I was wondering why you hadn't come yet." After saying this, he goes with them and people start questioning him. Meanwhile, we see an intelligence agent in this building named Jack. Jack comes to the counter and starts talking. Then he pulls out his weapon and begins to cause harm to everyone. Just then, the officer inside, who is questioning Frank, hears the sound of commotion. Frank tells him, "The people who are coming here won't leave anyone unharmed." But they don't listen to him and also go outside. Then only one man is left. Frank tells him to untie his handcuffs, saying, "Otherwise, if he stays inside, he will harm both you and me." So that man gives Frank the key to his handcuffs. But at the same time, Jack arrives and harms that man. He then starts questioning Frank. Jack tells Frank, "If you don't give me the information, I know how to make you talk. And I also know about your vulnerability. I will severely harm Sarah." That's when Frank realizes that Jack has also found out about Sarah. So, Frank unties his handcuffs and starts to escape. But these people keep shooting at Frank. Frank also defends himself, and this confrontation goes on for a long time. Frank does everything to protect his life. But after a while, he feels that he is trapped, and now Jack is going to cause him harm. Just then, Marvin arrives and starts shooting at everyone. Seeing this, Jack also flees. Then Marvin takes Frank outside. But now Frank is surprised again and tells Marvin, "I knew you were pretending." Just then, Frank sees Sarah, and after seeing her, Frank gets upset and tells Marvin, "I told you to keep her away from all these things." Then Marvin says, "She wanted to come with us." So now Sarah starts explaining to Frank and says, "I also want to come with you." Then Frank asks Marvin, "What is going on here?" Then Marvin shows him a file and says, "A file has been leaked on the internet, and in this file are the names of all those people who were involved in Operation Nightshade, and our names are also there. That's why now everyone is after us, because the people who were involved in that operation had misused arms in Russia. That's why now everyone is after us, so they can find out about the arms." Just then, Frank sees that Marvin has secured someone in the trunk of his car. Then he asks him who he is. Marvin says, "We will get information from him. He is a colonel." Meanwhile, we see Jack reaching his senior. He attributes all the incidents that have happened to others and even causes harm to his senior because Jack is doing all this for his own gain. That's why he says, "Now we have to catch Frank, and I know who can catch Frank." After saying so, he calls Han. Han is the most dangerous operative in the world, who used to be in the Secret Service at one time, but now he has become a contract operative. That's why Jack tells him, "You have to eliminate Frank." Han is also pleased because he used to be a friend of Frank, but Frank put him in jail. That's when we see Han's capabilities. He is taken to an isolated place where Han has nothing. Still, Han causes harm to the VIP man there with the help of a piece of paper. But now Frank's reputation is being damaged everywhere, and agencies worldwide are against Frank because they think that Frank is now involved with nuclear weapons. That's why the news reaches MI6 quickly. And MI6 goes to Victoria, and now they give Victoria the task of eliminating Frank. Meanwhile, we see Marvin, who brings out that colonel and says, "Tell us the whole story." Then the colonel tells them that during that operation, when they moved nuclear weapons to Russia, that nuclear weapon was lost somewhere in Moscow, and no one knows where that bomb is now. And at the same time, Dr. Edward Bailey, who had made that nuclear weapon, was also taken, and no one knows where Dr. Bailey is. That's why Frank follows these clues. He first looks at the document that was leaked on the internet. When they read that document, they find a symbol of wine. Frank then understands that whoever leaked this document must be a wine enthusiast. And Frank knows there's only one such person in the world. Frog. Just then, he receives a call from Victoria. Victoria reveals everything, saying that MI6 has given her a task to eliminate them, and she's not the only one. The CIA has given their task to Han, and now Han is also pursuing them. So, Frank starts playing his own game again. We see Han receive a tip about Frank's location from his companions. Han reaches that place, but as soon as he arrives, he discovers that Frank has outsmarted him. Frank has taken Han's private plane and is now heading to Paris. As soon as he arrives in Paris, Frank meets a Russian secret agent named Katya Patrikovich. Katya used to be Frank's girlfriend, and their romantic history was well known. So, as soon as Katya sees Frank, she greets him with a kiss, causing some surprise. But Frank now explains everything to Katya, telling her that many individuals are after them and he needs her help. "We want to find Frog," he says, "because he leaked this document, and he'll give us more information." So Katya also joins their plan, and they all begin to follow Frog. They devise a scheme to capture Frog. Sarah is prepared to lure him. Frank tells her to do everything, but never to look into his eyes. After this instruction, they take her to the restaurant where Frog is. But as soon as Sarah goes there, she makes a mistake and looks into Frog's eyes. That's when Frog starts firing. They also start firing back, and the exchange of shots continues for a while. In the end, Frog starts to escape. He takes a motorcycle and speeds away. Then Katya arrives with a car, and Frank gets in, beginning to pursue Frog. But Sarah starts to feel a sense of rivalry. So, she also gets into a car with Marvin and starts following Frog, saying, "I have to catch him before Katya." They begin a chase, with Frog constantly trying to get away and both cars pursuing him. But Frog quickly outwits Sarah, trapping her in a narrow lane. Frog believes he has outmaneuvered everyone. Just then, Frank arrives and impacts him with his car. They then take Frog to their hideout and begin to pressure him for information. Katya comes to question Frog to make him reveal the truth. Then Sarah gets another chance to try to impress Katya. So she goes to Frog and begins to charm him. She gives him a kiss, and from all this, Frog softens and gives her a key. This key belongs to a safe. After doing this, Sarah feels very good. Then she goes to her room. Just then, Frank comes to her. He knows that Sarah is feeling down. So he tells Sarah, "Now we'll both go out for dinner. Are you ready to come with me?" And Sarah agrees. Just then, Katya comes to their door and says, "I have some information, but it's very important for you to come with me." So Frank agrees to go with her, and he also takes the key from Marvin. They both go out to talk. Then Katya gives Frank a drink that contains a sedative. So Frank falls unconscious, and Katya takes the key. saying that the Russian government is also interested in this nuclear weapon. But now Sarah and Marvin retrieve Frank. Sarah is very upset with Marvin, so she gently slaps him. Marvin then says, "I never trusted you or Katya either. That's why I gave you a fake key." After saying this, he gives her the real key. Then they plan to go to the bank where the safe is. But when they are about to go to the bank, Han attacks them and starts firing indiscriminately. They don't understand how to escape. Then they create a blast here and escape through the tunnel. Han finds nothing again. As soon as they reach the bank, they see that the police have apprehended Katya. She was trying to open the safe with a fake key. But now, after Katya's departure, they open the safe. Then they discover that Edward Bailey is still alive. And for the past 32 years, he has been kept in a mental health facility in isolation. That's why they start leaving for the detain so they can go there and free Edward Bailey. Just then, Victoria impacts their vehicle on the way, and they think that now they are in a dire situation. But we know that Marvin and Victoria made a plan together. That's why Victoria has brought 3 bodies here. And now she causes those bodies to be consumed by fire with a car so that everyone thinks that they are gone. But now they reach the mental health facility of the detain, where Victoria first pretends to be mentally unwell. So everyone takes her inside. And after going inside, Victoria subdues everyone, and then calls Frank inside. Frank reaches Bailey. Then he sees that Bailey seems to have lost his mind. But after a while, Bailey recognizes Frank. But he still acts erratically. He locks them in his cell and runs away. Then they create an opening in the cell and come out, taking Bailey with them. But soon, the CIA attacks them and also MI6. Then they understand that it is going to be very difficult for them. Then Frank tells Victoria to go to MI6. Only then will they be able to stay calm for a while. And Victoria does the same. Frank leaves with Edward Bailey. And soon they reach Moscow. Then we find out that Ivan helped them reach Moscow. But now they have to help Bailey regain his memory so that he can tell them where he has kept the device. That's why they start trying to stimulate Bailey's memory. Just then, Han arrives and attacks Frank. They fight for a long time. Then Frank tries to reason with Han, but Han wants to overcome Frank. Then Frank also defends himself and soon the police arrive. Frank runs away. Then the police are about to apprehend Han. Just then, Han confronts them and starts causing harm to all the police officers. The police keep coming, and he deals with everyone. But now they take Bailey to every place where Bailey used to go. And in the meantime, Bailey goes to his house, where he used to live. Then he remembers where he has hidden the device. Bailey hid that bomb in the Kremlin, and there is a lot of security in the Kremlin. That's why they access the bathroom of a nearby building and start going to the Kremlin through a tunnel. Meanwhile, we see Victoria, who has been apprehended by MI6, and now they are questioning her. And they tell her, "You know how big a mistake you have made. We arrested Dr. Bailey because he wants to imperil the whole world. And he wanted to detonate that nuclear device. He is a dangerous individual. But you guys helped him get released, and now we don't know what he will do." After saying this, he tells his men to subdue her. Then a man comes to restrain Victoria, but Victoria skillfully subdues him. Just then, we see Frank's team retrieve the Red Mercury, that is, that nuclear device. And seeing this, these people are very happy, and they take it and leave. Just then, Katya arrives and she gives them a weapon. Then Frank tells her, "This weapon should not go to any government. Otherwise, they will use it for their own purposes, and many lives could be lost if this device explodes. That's why we have to destroy this device, and we want to safeguard the world." Katya then joins Frank, and they all begin to celebrate. Just then, Victoria calls Frank and explains everything. "Our biggest danger is Dr. Bailey, and he himself wanted to get to that nuclear device." As soon as Frank ends the call, Bailey hands him the device and says, "Victoria must have told you everything." Just then, Jack arrives with all his people and Bailey declares, "I did all this. I gave these documents to Frog so he could upload them to the internet, and I called Jack here." After saying this, he causes Katya to be harmed, and Jack takes all his people and leaves. But now, the Russians arrive and apprehend everyone. They believe these people have harmed Katya. Meanwhile, Bailey reaches the airport, and there, Jack secures him with handcuffs, saying, "I will never support a troubled person like you. Now you will go to America with me." He takes him away without further thought. Meanwhile, Frank and the others are now facing severe consequences from the Russians. Just then, Victoria begins to subdue everyone, one by one, demonstrating her exceptional precision with a sniper. Meanwhile, Bailey also performs an unexpected action in the sky. He takes a gas from his shoe, first administering an antidote to himself, and then he releases that gas in the plane. Everyone on the plane passes away in distress. Bailey then takes this plane and heads for London. Frank also discovers that Bailey has now left for London. So, Frank and his team also begin to depart. Just then, Han arrives and attacks Frank. They both begin to fight. Frank tries to reason with him repeatedly, but Han doesn't listen. Then Frank tells him, "This isn't about you and me. This is about the whole world, and people's lives are in danger. That's why I want you to support me." After saying this, he hands the device to Han. Han is unable to harm Frank and agrees to support him. So, these people reach London. They know that Bailey is planning to activate the device in the Iranian embassy. So, they arrive inside the Iranian embassy. Bailey has already reached there and explains his motive, saying, "MI6 harmed my whole family. That's why I want to bring about consequences for all of London." After saying this, he activates the device and leaves. Just then, Frank arrives and sees that the device has been activated. So, they all pursue Bailey. Bailey then apprehends Sarah and takes her away. Frank begins to chase Bailey, but now the entire city's police force is after them. These people keep moving and try to capture them repeatedly. These people also defend themselves, causing vehicles to become unusable one after another, so they can reach Bailey. Frank and Marvin go and get into a helicopter, and Marvin starts to neutralize the device. But the device remains active. Meanwhile, they reach the airport and see that Bailey takes Sarah and gets onto Han's plane. Frank follows him, but Bailey throws a weapon at Sarah and starts to bring Frank down. When Frank lands, Bailey leaves Sarah and flies away with the plane. Just then, all these people arrive, and they believe that they are in a very difficult situation. Just then, there's an explosion in Bailey's plane, and these people are shocked. Frank then says that he had placed the device in the plane and had come out with an empty box. Everyone is happy about this. But Han becomes upset with Frank and says, "You caused my plane to be destroyed. Now you have to pay $50 million, and you will give it to me." Frank laughs after hearing these things, and with this, the film ends.